my incident at Platform Brewing Company yesterday. Not even a specific incident, but just some annoying shit I want to talk about and I want to break down for some people.
Man, straight back from vacation and then
just annoying stuff all the time. Okay, so obviously I was out of town, and when I go out of town, I leave my dogs at the shop.
Yep.
And yesterday I had to take them all home, obviously. And I took the girls home earlier in the day, and I had Vinny at the facility, and I needed to take him home. So every Monday night, I go and I do trivia Platform, right? Platform Brewery. And, I never really take my dogs with me there or anything, but I know it's very dog friendly, and there's never typically a ton of dogs there, right?
Yeah.
So whatever, I'm like, all right, well, I got to take them. I was coming right out of a lesson at 8. Platforms trivia was at like 8:15, so I just was like, all right, I'll take them there with me, right? So we get there, I go inside, and as soon as I get inside, there's this guy, he's got this dog, whatever, at the bar, and I'm coming around the corner, his dog sees Vinny, and just like full on tries to like lunge towards him, right? Whatever. I kind of move out of the way, no big deal.
Yeah.
So I go around, get to the table. I put Vinny in a downstay in the back corner, which we'll talk about this in a minute. I always keep my dogs very off to the side, and I position myself in a place where I could see what's going on around me so I don't get caught off guard by anything.
Yeah.
Whatever. So got Vinny in a downstay. Vinny is phenomenal in public. He's honestly, I always say, like, probably my best dog in public. Like when since I've had him at like 5 months old, I used to take that dog everywhere with me. So whatever. Yeah. He's at a downstay, and this dog that just finished lunging at him is maybe 10 feet away, 15 feet away at the bar. And the dog is just like, whatever, kind of freaking out, whining, barking, trying to pull. This guy's holding the short leash. And the guy like gets up and looks at me. He's like, can she just come say hi? And I just look at him. I'm like, no, she can't just come say hi.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and like he sounded like so annoyed by it when he said it, of like, oh my, because he could tell like when his dog lunged, and I kind of like jumped out of the way with Vinny and kind of gave him a look like keep your dog over there, please. Like, I think he was just, like, so irritated that he couldn't let his dog come say hi to Vinny, right?
Yeah.
To get him to settle down. Like, that was his only way of getting his dog to settle down. And mind you, this guy, I see at Platform, like, every single week that I'm there with this dog. And this dog is always just pulling them all over the bar. It's all over the place. It's got to go say hi to every single dog it sees. It's really pushy and annoying. It starts barking all the time in the middle of trivia and stuff. Whatever. So I tell him no, and he's just, whatever. He turns around, sits back at the bar, and then, he had to like go outside a couple times with the dog because the dog started like freaking out and stuff like that. And whatever. So that's annoying thing number one. Which that one it was annoying, but whatever. I could deal with that. Like Vinny wasn't fazed by it. He didn't care, right? The guy kept his dog away from him. I don't care what, whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. This was the annoying part.
Ooh.
Probably 5 different people over the course of the 2 hours that I was there, literally just tried to go up to him and start petting him. They didn't even like acknowledge me. They just go up and they're like this one girl, she's like behind me. Vinny's next to me in a downstay. She's behind me, and I see her out of the corner of my eye, and she's like 5 feet away, and she does this one. I'll show you this one. You ready?
Yeah. Oh no!
Hi, puppy. So she does that one, right? and then I see she just then starts walking over in that same position of like bent over 90 degrees, face first, straight towards a dog you don't know.
Yeah.
Not asking if you could pet him at all, and just going for it, right? Another situation, right? One of the I don't know if he was a bar back or something, but he comes over and he just looks at me and he's like, "Can I give your dog a treat?" And I was just like, "No, sorry, he's training right now." And he's, "Oh, okay, cool. Glad I asked." And then he comes over like 10 minutes later and he's asking me questions about him. He's like, "Oh, what kind of dog is that?" Blah blah. I was like, "Oh, he's a Malinois. How old is he?" He's like 7, whatever. And then he goes and bends down and just goes to pet him. And I was like, "Dude, I just told you 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
He's training right now. You can't give him a treat. You can't pet him. Don't leave him alone." Right?
Yeah.
And moral of this story here right now is don't pet dogs that are not yours when you're out in public. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. And if you're going to do so, ask the owner first.
Yes,
I don't
please.
understand why that is such a hard concept for people to grasp. I feel like I grew up and my parents taught me at a very young age, if you want to pet the dog, you have to ask the owner first. And on top of that, you don't really need to pet every dog that you see.
You don't.
Right? And unfortunately, we live in this society right now where everybody feels like dogs are out for their own enjoyment. Right? They get offended when you tell them that you can't pet them. They get offended when their dogs can't meet each other. And they take them out as this accessory. Right? And that's what pisses me off the most about this is dogs are people's accessory now. Of you go to the bar and you have your dog and it's like, look, I'm the guy with the dog, right? I'm the social guy that wants to have everybody come up to me, as opposed to, like in Vinny's case, like he was literally laying on the floor in the corner sleeping. Seriously, like he was like curled up and he was sleeping when all of this stuff was going on. It's like you can't look at him and just be like, he's minding his own business. He's snoozing right now. He's hanging out. He's not here to interact with anybody right now.
Yeah.
Right? I don't understand it. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just funny because that guy that's at the bar all the time is literally the guy you just like explained who he is.
yes, this is my dog. Look at my dog.
Yeah. And then the bar back guy, he did so good at the beginning. He asked you about the treat and
Yes,
everything.
I appreciated that. And then he just goes for it. You go for it. 10 minutes later. No, don't do that. Stop.
No, I just told you no.
Yeah. I don't understand. And then so my buddy was there, right? And my buddy Matt just got a corgi puppy. Super cute little dog. It's like 12 weeks old right now.
Geez.
Right? And he started asking me, because this is the first time he had seen me bring my dogs to a public setting. And he's met all of my dogs. He's come to my house before plenty of times.
Yeah.
He's he's interacted with all of them and stuff like that. And he started asking. He's like, and he wants to do training with the dog once the dog gets a little bit older and stuff like that. And he's like, so I've met your dogs at your house and stuff like that. So why, what's the reasoning for you not allowing people to pet them out in public and stuff like that? So I think is a good opportunity to re-break down the reasons why I'm very strict about these kinds of things, right?
Boom.
So the biggest reasons why I do not let people or dogs interact with my dogs while I'm out in public is, one, you just don't have to, obviously. There's no reason why people need to be coming up to your dogs and petting them. But from a behavioral standpoint, it goes one of two ways, right? So first off, we need to break down the fact that on the leash is one of the most restrictive places that a dog can be, right? When they are on a leash, they typically feel some degree of frustration at all times because they know that they're restrained within the confines of X amount of space, right?
Yeah.
That's why we see dogs that are typically more aggressive with other dogs on the leash. That's why we see dogs get reactive on the leash towards other things. That's why they pull. That's why they do all these things, because they don't understand that barrier, right?
Yeah.
So you can have dogs that are either really, really excited to see people and get really, really happy, or are really, really scared of people and get really, really nervous around them, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to get a different response with either or if you do on-leash greetings, right? Let's take the happy-go-lucky golden retriever or this guy's dog, right? This coon hound or whatever it is, who clearly is social, clearly likes people, clearly likes dogs, right? When this guy comes to this place with this dog, because the dog is so social and because he makes it an event for everybody to come up and pet this dog or interact with this dog, or this dog to see all the other dogs and stuff like that around, he has no control over the dog, right? He is conditioned in all of this arousal that when you see this dog or you see this person, you better get super jacked up because you're going to get to go say hi, right? And you teach the dog unintentionally that all of this is yours. It's yours for the taking, right? That's why this dog felt inclined to lunge at Vinny as soon as that dog saw him. That's why that dog, when he couldn't come and say hi to Vinny, started freaking out and barking and whining and pulling on the leash and stuff like that. Is because in that dog's mind, everything is his, right? So you create all this conditioned arousal, making it 10 times more difficult to control the dog, even for a trained dog. Even if your dog has training and you're using proper training tools and consequences and corrections and stuff like that, if you're doing that all the time, just like the example I used a couple minutes ago of Vinny getting hyped up when he gets near the field, you create arousal with a specific trigger, right?
Yeah.
Now let's take the fearful example, right? if you are always having people come up to your dog that's nervous of people, or always having dogs invade your dog's space when they're nervous of other dogs, you create this conditioned sense of fear, which one, makes the problem worse, and two, puts the dog in a position every single time of fight or flight. And since flight is not an option because they're restrained on a leash, it turns into fight, and they start learning growling, snapping, barking, lunging keeps other dogs away. So you create dog reactivity. That's the number one cause of it that I see, is too much of that type of socialization in settings where the dog is stressed out. So I told my buddy, I was like, the reason why you could say hi to all my dogs at the house is because I know if they're loose and they're free and they come up to you and they no longer want to be pet, they can go away, right? I know that because they're not in a command, if they come up to you and they get all excited when you're petting them, I'm not taking away from something that I'm trying to get them to do, like be calm in public or walk politely on a leash or stay in their downstay or anything like that, right? So the conditioned excitement or fear is the number one reason why I don't do that, right? When I look at going out in public with my dogs, right, as a privilege, right? It is a privilege for us to be able to take our dogs to all of these different places.
Yeah.
Right? Sure. Breweries. The fact that I can go to Platform Brewery for 2.5 hours with my dog is so cool.
It is.
Right? You couldn't do that 5 years ago. I think it was just 3 years ago or so that they passed the bill legally allowing dogs on patios. People were doing it before, obviously, but I think Ohio actually passed a bill saying you now can do this everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
Businesses have the right to be able to offer that as a service for people, right? And I think the fact that you could do that and the fact that we can go so many places and we live in such a pet-friendly society is such a privilege. And unfortunately, in people's minds, it's turned into a right that they can take their dog everywhere.
Yeah.
And because they look at it that way, they don't look at how do I do this responsibly? Right? How do I do this in a way where everybody can enjoy this privilege as opposed to I'm just entitled to take my dog to any of these places? Right?
Yeah.
I think that creates a lot of problems. And that's why we see so many issues with off-leash dogs at the park running up to whatever dog they see and this and that. I think that is a privilege for people to be able to take their dogs into those settings that may not be the most social dogs, but can now get out and about and go and experience the world more so they can improve on that socialization. And because all these Joe Schmoes think that they're just give it to their dog where it's all yours for the taking, it creates problems, and it always falls back on the people that are trying to be the responsible dog owner, right, as the issue. And that's my biggest issue with it, right? And that's the biggest reason why I don't do any of that kind of stuff. Because I look at it that way, I always want to make sure that because it's a privilege, and I keep saying this, because it's a privilege for me to be able to take my dog in those places, my dog is not being disruptive towards anybody else, right? I'm going to take them out and about, and I'm going to keep them under control, and I'm going to make sure they're not being a nuisance, and I want them to be that model dog that people look at and be like, wow, I wish my dog can do that. Wow, I wish my dog was that calm in this setting, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not restricting them from all of these beautiful things and them getting to say hi to all these people. They're social. They have plenty of social outlets with dogs and people.
Yeah.
But it's not that place, right? Because it creates problems.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to start looking at things a little bit more that way and start being significantly more responsible with our dogs and being significantly more respectful towards people out there that are trying to just kind of mind their own business with their dogs. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
It's so frustrating. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, and then times I go out without my dogs, and then you go into a bar and you just have other people's dogs just coming up to you and stuff like that. Like, so now you start getting into, cool, if your dog just goes up to every single person they see, what are people that have dog allergies now no longer allowed to go to these places? You know what I mean? You start taking away from the original intention of these places, which is people can go there.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And instead it turns into just a frickin' dog park, you know, it creates problems.
Yeah. Which I just don't understand. How can you not feel guilty or embarrassed that your dog is doing these things? I don't know. Like, I guess it's just what you said, that it's an accessory. They don't perceive it that it's bothering anybody. Yeah. Even though I'm sure they've
become
told,
the norm. Yeah. You know, it's and how many people How many times do you think those people have actually been told no for those types of things?
Not enough, probably.
Probably almost none.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of awkward. You know, I tell people
Yeah.
this all the time that need to tell people no when they ask to pet their dogs because they have dogs with aggression issues or this or that. I was like, you know, it's a skill you need to develop because it's awkward at first, right? I mean, I've literally had people, luckily at this point, like I feel like I say it in such a way where it's like, this is not going to be a conversation right now.
Yeah.
You know, but like I've had people in the past when I told them they couldn't pet my dogs or couldn't let their dog up to my dog or whatever it was, like literally start yelling at me before over it.
Yeah.
You know, and like
So
call me mean names and stuff like that.
They make you feel like you're at fault. Like it's your problem. Like, no. Well, and what, when the girls were on, Emma and Margot, right? Margot. Oh God. I'm sorry.
Margot.
I'm so sorry. It's his fault.
It is my fault.
You know, when they said they were on that walk, you know, and they knew they should have told that.
Oh, sure.
That dog that came up, like
it's awkward.
Yeah, but then they felt really bad because they put their dog in that situation or whatever. But I mean, there is that huge like social barrier feeling because you're like, are these people? How are they going to react for me telling their dog can't see my dog?
Yeah,
you know.
And this is why I typically speaking choose to not take my dog to a lot of these different places. You know, like I know the high traffic dog places around, you know, like there's the places that just no matter what, if I go there, there's so many people that do those types of things that it's like, I'm the bad guy if I go there and start trying to set some boundaries and stuff. So I typically just avoid them, right? Same with, you know, if it's a really busy day or something, like I'm not going to go to platform on a Saturday night or something where everybody's shoulder to shoulder and there's no space or anything like that. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Edgewater Live. People like taking their dogs to that when it's going on at Edgewater, which is like their big thing and stuff like that. But a Monday night when there's plenty of space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to deal with that kind of stuff.
No.
And, you know, I do feel bad for my clients because so many of them want to go out and be able to do those types of things. And this is something I was telling my friend Matt is like, I know how it creates problems, right? As a trainer, we're in this innate position where we've seen the big behavioral issues and we've seen what leads to them, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the false narrative that's been pushed is that doing all of those types of things with your dogs and taking them all these places and socializing them with every dog and person that you see is what they need in order to be a well-balanced, socialized dog. And people look at that as like the staple of, I want to be able to do this with my dog, right? I want to be able to go to the dog parks and go to the breweries and meet people out on the walk and be social. Because here's the thing, a lot of people get a dog to enhance their social life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want to be
100%.
a part of that dog ownership circle, you know? Mm-hmm. And I always remind them, all those 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old dogs that you see out there that people are doing all of those types of things with are just one bad experience away from it all going downhill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
It's one bad thing happens and somebody pets your dog wrong, or that lady that did that face thing, right, gets bit in the nose or whatever it may be, one bad experience away from everything going downhill from there, right?
Yeah.
And then, listen, you know, from a petting standpoint, like going up to people and asking to pet their dogs, if you go, listen, I don't recommend doing it. Again, I tell people you don't need to pet other dogs that are not yours, right? Or that you do not know and trust. But if you're going to go pet somebody else's dog, don't fucking do it face first.
Yeah.
Why would you? Don't do it face first, right?
The most dangerous part of the dog.
It's just ridiculous. I see people like stick their face like 3 inches away from dogs' faces all the time. And it's like every time I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Especially all these people that like, you know, what if you just went out and you adopted a shelter dog, right? And you don't know the dog yet. And 2 days later, you go to take it to a bar and somebody goes to do that and you don't know that the dog actually has aggression issues and then that person gets tagged in the face. Game over.
Game over. That dog's
dead dog.
Yeah.
Right? Because of everybody honestly involved. Not necessarily just the dog, but it's just a bad idea. Yeah. So understand that these public settings you take your dogs to are a privilege. Be responsible and be respectful of everybody else around them. And make sure at all times your dog is not being a nuisance. That's it. If you look at it from the light of, is my dog bothering other people right now? Or is my dog potentially going to bother somebody by me doing A, B, C, or D? Don't take them. Or make sure you teach them something that is going to make sure that they're not being that way.
Mm-hmm. And you know your dog better than other people, so if you know that it's going to be like that, don't do it.
Don't do it. So
Just don't do it.
I don't know. That's random topic number 2.
I like it.